What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back, and from CBS Bay Area, children languish in emergency rooms awaiting mental health care. So they're telling us now that there's a problem with the children, and I'm wondering, could this have anything to do with the past decade or so of far too much social media and television brainwashing, or the last 3 or 4 years of telling them that the air is unsafe to breathe and you can't go to school without a mask or a shot, or maybe the last 6 or 7 years of telling them that, oh, well, you're probably just the opposite gender if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable in your own skin. It's not puberty. That's not real. You're just the opposite gender. Don't worry about it. We'll snip. We'll fix you right up. Does that have anything to do with maybe why these kids are having a mental health care problem, right? And they did this to black people. It was only a week or so ago. There was an article about, the mental health crisis in the black community, but they don't want to go get help because it's stigmatizing or whatever. And all of this basically boils down to some guy who's going to get paid to give you a pill. Or if you sit in a room and he's going to get paid to have you tell them all your problems because you are not able to fix anything yourself, black people or children, which, sure, fine, maybe kids aren't. But the thing is, they've been manipulated so heavily. Now they're saying, well, you have a mental health problem that you created, right? You can't just let these kids be kids. You guys start doing these gender-neutral toy sections and gay BCs and driving a wedge between the parent and the child. Oh, your mom doesn't think you're a little girl? She's evil. Get rid of her. Watch this weirdo TikToker with makeup and a beard. Go watch a Dylan Mulvaney video because your parents just don't believe. They might be anti-vaxxers. They might be right-wingers, and now they're running for school board. We got to get rid of them. They're constantly driving a wedge between the parent and the child. They're constantly using fear tactics about Rona and climate change and racism, every single thing. And then some of them start to have problems, and they say, well, we can fix you. We can fix you. It's just that we need a little bit more money. That's why we don't have enough doctors. They also said in that other story about the black mental health crisis that black people don't want to talk to white doctors. It just never ends with this media nonsense. They foist every single problem on you and then tell you that they, of course, are the ones that are going to have the solution. It's absolutely despicable, and I am genuinely curious as to how anybody is still buying any of it. How can you look at this and say, oh, well, these people really have my best interests at heart? It's absolutely laughable.
Michaela shares her story.
You're just kind of left alone.
Not because of where she is at age 20.
It kind of feels hopeless.
But because of where she was just a couple of years ago.
For me, I would be crying out for help.
Inside a hospital emergency room in Colorado for the 8th time, suffering a mental health crisis.
It wouldn't happen until I came to a point where it was too late.
Michaela ended up in...
But was it too late? I mean, you're here telling the story right now, so maybe it wasn't too late. I mean, she's only 20 years old. And this also reminds me of the story we saw in New York. They celebrated legal weed. Oh, go smoke pot, and Uncle Sam gets their cut, and everybody loves smoking weed all day. And then a 15-year-old kid smokes too much, and they put him in a mental ward because they say he's schizophrenic or something. It's you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. It's a rock and a hard place. It's a catch-22 with these people. You will never have any autonomy as far as they're concerned. No matter what happens, they are going to pinpoint a problem that you have, convince you that you have it, and then tell you they're the only ones that can fix it every single time.
In the ERs because she was suicidal or in acute crisis. The first time when she was 12. She now considers herself a survivor.
It definitely made me stronger.
I was in the ER for 19 days.
Daniel considers himself a survivor too.
The ER is inhumane and not the right place to go for mental health. All right, let me show you the oldest one.
Do we notice those two women around him? Were those his two moms? I'm just saying that maybe that has something to do with it as well. Possibly. I don't know.
Daniel shared his story after a mental health crisis landed him in a Boston ER when he was 17. He's been in the ER 3 different times in the last year alone.
They don't get what they need. They are still trying to find the help they need, and it's so damn difficult.
So many stories we heard, different journeys, one problem. Young people suffering a mental health crisis ending up in the last place doctors think they should. This is such a big problem around the country. This is the front lines now on treating mental health among juveniles, is the emergency department.
And they just keep saying mental health. Like, are you going to be any more specific than that? It's just mental health. Yeah, everybody has a bad day sometimes, right? It's the same, like they want you to report every single thing now, so they can track and trace you and figure out all the information. Same thing with that norovirus in New York. Well, we just don't have enough information because people aren't reporting when they get food poisoning to the government, right? Or they just throw this vague term, mental health. It's kind of like how they do with assault rifle, assault weapons. They make these vague terms up. You're expected to just wear it. You do not question it, because that puts you on the wrong side of history. If you question any of the things that they are foisting upon you, then you're just a bigot, conspiracy weirdo. Everything that we say, even though we don't really explain it, we don't have to explain it, just like Katie Hobbs. Don't worry about it. Just know that we're the doctors, we're the scientists, we're the experts. Study shows every time.
It is not an ideal place to be.
In January, we spent a day with Dr. Kevin Carney, head of the ER at Children's Hospital Colorado.
This morning when I came in, we had 5 patients who came in overnight into the emergency department for mental health reason.
Children's Hospital Colorado says last year system-wide, they saw an average of 554 children every month in their ER with mental health issues. How's there to keep them safe, but where the children got little to no treatment?
Yeah, well, because you're not telling us what they had. You're just saying mental health, right? And this is just the next scare tactic, right? Because remember when, kids got Rona now. Rona is affecting kids. Because for the first year, we were told that Rona doesn't really affect kids. And then in year 2, year 3, kids are coming down with it. You better be careful. And then that didn't really catch on, right? And then we did a little bit of polio. We did a little bit of monkeypox. We did a little bit of norovirus. We did all this stuff. And now they're just saying, it's mental health. Just always make sure that you are scared of something, right? Because if you're not living in fear, then we can't manipulate you. That's what's happening. And it boggles my mind how people aren't seeing this yet.
Hoping I could check bed status for...
Staff members spend hours every day calling around Colorado.
No beds today.
Thank you.
Looking for places where kids can get treatment.
Maybe across the whole system, 4 or 5 beds.
We just don't have enough beds. It's overflowing. It's overflowing. Where have we seen this before? We don't have the room. We just need more beds. I mean, somebody please think of the children.
In the whole state today.
Okay, thank you.
And I have 8 waiting for beds already.
Okay, no beds today.
And I have 4 more to be seen today. And it's only noon.
Which is why so many children wait hours, days, even weeks inside the ER.
We've seen a significant rise.
We found a similar crisis at Cook Children's Hospital in Fort Worth, Texas.
But we're seeing even younger and younger kids, 8 and 9-year-olds, that are expressing that they want to hurt themselves.
Oh, yeah. I wonder why. I wonder, because kids can make their choice. They can make their own decisions about everything now, right? Want to change your gender at 5 years old? Fine. You want to get a face tattoo at 5 years old? No, you can't do that. But are you mentally unstable? Then go to the hospital. We'll give you some pills, right? Because there's a profitability in this, obviously. And if you are healthy and unaware of what they're doing, of how they're trying to manipulate you, then you might go on to become a productive member of society. But so we need to get our claws in you as quick as humanly possible and get you hooked on some pharmaceuticals. Otherwise, we're going to be high and dry. We're not going to have the money to fly around private or whatever it is that these weirdos do with this giant physician tag on them. These people are absolutely despicable. And you can also tell, I mean, they look like actors. Like that other lady, they have this B-roll of her calling, no beds. And we see so many kids, and it's just so, like, they're pulling on the heartstrings, but really they're just manipulative, evil hacks.
They want to die.
Over the last 2 years, they've seen an average of 330 kids a month with mental health issues in their ER.
So we're in one of our psych safe rooms.
Kids in Fort Worth and across the country wait in ER rooms like this one, stripped down for their protection.
They prevent you from being able to harm yourself. We've had length of stays over 36 hours in this room.
You feel terrible for the families when they're trapped here for hours, days on end trying to find placement.
More than 60% of youth with major depression don't receive any mental health treatment. Our investigation found 41 states with a severe shortage of child psychiatrists.
We got to go to work.
There's not enough child psychiatrists. Of course, we need more child psychiatrists to dole out more pills. And we're going to completely ignore the fact that we've been pumping them full of weirdo propaganda from every single angle, every single talking point, every single agenda. They prop these kids up, these Greta type kids, and that little girl from New York who wrote an LGBTQ book. You think that has nothing to do with this? Why don't you let them just, play Grand Theft Auto, watch Nickelodeon? I don't know, just like be normal, right? Like, why is everything boiled down? Every single thing that happens, every single bad day that anybody has now is this huge problem. They need to report every single thing, and everyone should now be worried because anything that happens is an epidemic. And they don't report every single bus that shows up at school safely. There's not an epidemic of safely driven buses to school. That's not an epidemic. But as soon as one person, two people have a condition, then the whole world needs to stop. And there's just not enough psychiatrists. There's not enough pharmaceuticals. There's not enough pills. How are we going to save all these kids?
Where folks are.
The person in charge of this? Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra. We met with him in Dallas during a panel with young black men.
I was actually suicidal my senior year of high school because when people don't feel safe, people don't talk, people don't speak, people don't say anything, and they just deal with it.
And here we have it, though. This is the Biden administration. Javier Becerra, Health and Human Services. These people that have been lying to you and manipulating every single detail, every single fact for notably the past 3 years, but I'm sure for much longer, right? These political establishment, I don't even know what to call them. I'll come up with something. But those are the people now telling you that you're crazy. You just need to see a psychiatrist and we'll give you some pills. And we're all just pretending that that's normal.
That's why you have people committing suicide. That's why you have people turning to drugs and alcohol.
And just for good measure, they're the ones telling you that every single issue that you have, every single agenda that they push is, of course, life and death. Every single one, right? You drive a truck, climate change is happening, you're going to die. You don't wear a mask, you're going to kill grandma, you're going to die. You don't get the shot, you're going to die. You don't let this kid cut their junk off, they're going to harm themselves. Every single thing is life and death. And then it starts actually happening, and they say, oh, well, this is a problem too. So no matter what happens, they will have the solution for you. Them and only them. And when I say them, I mean the political establishment, not the they, them, ze, zim, zers, even though they are part of this problem as well, obviously.
Because they don't know where else to go.
They're crying out.
It starts with the youth.
Shame on us that we haven't prepared.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah, Javier Becerra is absolutely despicable. All of these Biden cabinet members are just completely slimy, little weasel, disgusting people. He's sitting there smiling. Oh, we just have to do better. He knows. Like how do these people sleep at night? I guess on a pile full of money, a bed full of money, a pile of money. I don't know.
That we've got young people in ERs all over with mental health issues all over this country.
No, it's not acceptable. It's not care. It's housing them.
It's not care. Oh, I'll fix it. Of course. Of course. What could be more predictable than this guy who foisted all of the fear mongering on you, telling you that it's just not acceptable. We have to fix it. These people are just they're monsters. They really are monsters.
Why hasn't the federal government done more until now?
Well,
It's pretty simple. Money.
We checked, and the Biden administration has dedicated more money to juvenile mental health than previous administrations.
It's just so predictable. It's so predictable. Every single problem that we have needs more money. Obviously, with every single other issue, we talked about it in a previous video with business owners dealing with constant break-ins. And then one of the city officials, I believe it was London Breed, right? The mayor, of course, says, well, we just, we need more money so we can put more cops or whatever. Every single thing boils down to just getting more money. And obviously that money will never get to the people who need it, even though you were the reason that they need it, right? You caused these problems. You said you were going to get them money to help fix it, which would be a victory for you anyways, but you still won't even help them with the problem that you created. You're going to funnel the cash through all of your bureaucratic buddies, and a couple pennies are going to trickle down, and that'll be it. And then the cycle continues.
$1 billion over the next 5 years to pay for things like medical school to increase the number of mental health specialists.
And just last thing here, well, probably not last, but this is exactly what happened in New York City. They spent $225 million on Rona equipment. Fast forward 3 years, it gets unused and sold for less than a penny on the dollar. That's what's going to happen every single time. They're going to spend all this money for stuff that they're not going to use, but they're going to broker backdoor deals. And these kids may or may not even have a problem, but they're going to tell you that they have a problem because otherwise we're not going to have an excuse to ask for more money.
And a goal of doubling counselors in schools. But critics say those one-time grants are short-term answers.
Does Congress need to step up and treat this as a continuing problem that they need to fund better?
Absolutely. And that's why President Biden called this part of his unity agenda. This is something where red or blue, Republican or Democrat, we all know someone who needs help.
Oh my God, this is laughable. These people are so despicable. How do you watch this lizard man and actually believe what he's saying? Oh, it's not political, red or blue. Yeah, right. Give it a rest, bro. If President Trump cured all of them, you would call them evil. These people are such hacks. It's so see-through, right? It's like once you see through it, there's no going back. And it's just, this guy, is a lizard. He's a lizard person. Right? Well, we're just going to, I'm actually astonished. And that's why the media is failing, by the way. Nobody's actually watching that. I'm sitting here ranting about it into a camera, but nobody's really paying attention to this, but they're still going to clean up because they're claiming there's a problem.
Our kids need us to be there for them.
You don't always see this kind of emotion from a school superintendent. But mental health is such a priority for Chris Smith and his Denver area community that they voted for a $15 million bond to build a combination mental health treatment center and school due to open this fall. Intensive.
Yeah, we just need $15 million. I can't even watch this anymore. This is crazy. They're spending so much money trying to fix a problem that they created. And it's just so transparent. It's so see-through, and somehow they get away with it. And as soon as you work on one little PPP scam, I keep going back to that story of the guy in California who finessed the entire PPP, and bought luxury cars, which, is not the greatest idea in the book, but they will scam you until the death of them, and you just got to wear it. They're going to waste your taxpayer dollars. They're going to waste your money, smack you in the face with weirdo agendas. And if you throw a fraction of a percentage of that scam mentality back in their face, you will go to jail. So thank you for watching. This one has been a doozy. Please comment, like, share, and of course, subscribe.